Welcome to the Incredible Machines podcast, where we converse with incredible people, do incredible things to learn just what makes them so incredible. Today we're excited to welcome Siya Gule, an entrepreneur and CEO who has defied the odds to become a leader in business and beyond. Siya's story is a testament to the power of resilience, faith, and leadership. In this episode, Siya shares how resilience and humble beginnings can be keys to success, the power of faith in categories of business, personal, and family, the practice of prayer in everyday life and where to start, the importance of knowing your purpose and leading with authenticity. If you're looking for inspiration on how to stay true to your values, lead with purpose, and rise above adversity, this episode is for you. But without further ado, let's dive in with the incredible Siyabonga Gule. Welcome to the Incredible Machines podcast. I'm very excited about our guest here today, and just to formal introductions, I've got with me Luke Holden, my business partner and creative extraordinaire. I'm Jon Oliff, an entrepreneur and digital marketer, and I'm very excited to welcome Siya Gule to the show.
Thank you.
So Siya, we actually met through EO, an entrepreneurs organization. I've mentioned a few times on the show already, and we met at a few events and networked and that sort of stuff. But I was fortunate enough to spend some time in Egypt with Siya on a trip. Yeah. Siya was the only one that stuck his hand up to share a room with me. And so we shared a room for a couple nights in Egypt and had an amazing experience, saw the pyramids and that sort of thing. Yeah, and then we were also on the EO board together, so we served on the board. So we had that was my first introductions to Siya. Then last year I had the privilege of working with the team, Letabo, Lindy, and Siya, among others, that we worked a bit on some direction for the brand Beapo. Mm-hmm. And Siya's going to talk a bit about that company and how it all started and give his introduction and his story. As you know, with the show, The Incredible Machines, we're looking to dissect the incredible machine sitting with us today and understand how they got this way, why they're like this. So we start with the lifeline, which is actually, Siya will be very familiar with. It's an EO construction, and we do it often with EO. And it'll be in the show notes, guys. Access to that PDF. I recommend everyone does it. Yeah. But CEO of Beapo. So welcome, Siya. CEO of Beapo.
Yeah.
It's over close on 2 decades experience in supply chain and strategic sourcing. Yeah. So let's kick it off. How did you get here? How you like this? Yeah.
Yeah. Good question. Thanks, Jon. Appreciate for having me here today. I suppose it's just, all about having a dream. It's part of it, and wanting to make a difference and change people's lives, and just help people that you meet along the way. So I think one of the things that have helped me to be where I'm at today is life has never just been about me. It's always been about how can I leave this place in a better place that I found it. So that's what gets me here today.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm going to just interrupt you there quickly because we met yesterday and we've spoken earlier, but one of the things I said yesterday, I told the story. When I go to Siya's offices, the Beapo offices, I'm greeted by the team, but the first person I'm greeted by is the security guy.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. And he's and as soon as I mention your name, his face lights up, and hey, are you going to see Siya? And it's like I get some extra credit somewhere. I don't know where I'm supposed to cash that in. We'll talk about that later. But it's just, and then I meet, and I have worked with your team, and that's again why you're here, is because when you walk in the room, you seem to change the room, and that team lights up. And so in your lifeline, let's go from the beginning. Where does it start for you?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jon. So I grew up, or was born in Vryheid and was raised in Vryheid, a place called Mondlo, almost humble beginnings. And I happened to be last born out of the siblings of, there's 4 of us, and I'm the last born. And so I am born in a home that literally had nothing. So my mom is really just a teacher, and then things go terrible, and she starts really being at the butcher, and then she's selling there. My dad was a policeman, and I didn't get to meet my grandfather, but he was a pastor, so life starts right there. And then I am born a twin, and then at the age of 2, I think I lost my twin brother. And I'm seeing through life, and then obviously they had different beliefs. So what simply happens is that when I wasn't feeling well, I will be taken to my twins brother's almost cemetery. His tomb was at home, and they will like, hey, talk to your brother for you to be okay. And Dad is not around at the time, so unfortunately I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. He was in my life for almost 13 years. Didn't get to know him that really well. I mean, some dads are great, some dads are not great. I don't know what was happening in his life. He had, just a different season in his life at the time that I was born. Such simple words as like, I love you, son, you're doing well, I'm proud of you, I believe in you. Those words I never got to hear. But anyway...
Just going to interject there. That's actually quite a common story behind a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
It is actually that missing father figure.
Absolutely.
Steve Jobs, I think, is one of the examples. There's a number of that. So you're looking to compensate, and you're looking to even sometimes impress. Like I've had that experience where trying to impress dad like that.
And I'll talk about that. But he's a good guy, because when he came back home, and I think he had not done well. He was an alcoholic. He tried different jobs, and he will not stay for a very long time. And then getting back home, when life really hit him hard, and he's coming back, and we've almost built a beautiful relationship with mom, and I'm like, okay, dad is back. This is a time we're going to have our time together. And I'm asking him, hey, but I am been doing well, haven't failed, doing incredible well at school. I would love to have you buy me a bicycle, if you can afford it. And he said he was going to buy me a bicycle, and I never got that bicycle for almost 5 years when he was around. But something happens in that time is that, mom has got to hold this family together. We got to have to keep going, because there are 2 of my brothers, and there's my sister, there's my mom, and there's obviously me as well. And there's no income that is coming at home. And he's not around. He's obviously struggling with this issue of alcohol. He does get piece jobs, and he's never coming back at home. But he's a good guy. He's a loving guy, but he's going through a situation, and he hasn't done really well spending time with his family and his last born as well, who needs him so much and who loves him so much. So before he passes on, mom decides to do something about this situation. So where she was working, and that entity didn't do quite well, so they shut down, and she's got to try find something as to how she will help us to pay school fees. So I had a big problem at school, right from grade 1, where I would always be on the queue for those students that did not pay their fees. So whenever the teachers came with the register who hasn't paid their fees, I'll be always on the queue. But she started, selling different products. So she had 4 products in her business. She had fruits, she had meat, tribe meat inside, and then she had mealies, and then she had fat cooks. So she started doing that to get us going. And I'm having a lot of questions at the time that thing is happening. I'm like questioning God. Why was I born into this family, where I don't know my dad, and I'm not getting the support I need from him? But I'm also seeing other kids that are doing well, have got dads and mom, and they've got things that I'm actually, looking for and I want. I'll go to school, John, without shoes, so, and that was a very terrible experience. I remember this time I was at school, and so due to circumstances, I had not brushed my teeth, my tooth, and then you know what happened if those things are not done. And this teacher, just in front of everybody, hey, Siya, you've got mouth issues here. You're gonna have to sort out your thing, and that's sort of affected my self-esteem at the time. And also I'm seeing mom struggle like that, and my dad has been around and is not doing anything about this. It's I'm questioning a whole lot of things, and I am at the time she started that business. Whenever we're coming back from school, I'll have to duck and dive because I didn't want my friends to actually notice that is my mom. Because if she saw me, she was gonna call me for help, and they will then know that my mom is selling all those kind of things, because I wanted to keep the guy that I was. And I'm doing well at school, but I remember at grade 5, we were supposed to do this oral presentation. It was an English class. And then English teacher called me out. I was praying she does not call me out. She calls me out, and I'm supposed to do a presentation. And I was not able to do that presentation simply because I didn't know what to say. I don't have words to say. I'm just going to say in English what I'm going to say. So it's a question. It's an issue of low self-esteem. I have not gotten the support that I need, but it's also just the issue of a lot of problems that are going on at home. And at some point, when my dad will come back home drunk, and then I will see him abusing my mom, abusing me, and that triggered some evil thoughts. I was not a believer at the time. Like, maybe poisoning this guy will be the thing, because he hasn't been around my life. He hasn't shown me the love that a parent is supposed to show to his son, and he's causing chaos at home. So maybe just putting something on his drink and saying, "Here you go," will be the solution to create a better place for this.
So how old are you when you're thinking these thoughts?
This is between 7-ish and 11. I had a tough start. And all of these kind of things. I mean, at some point I will sleep without food because there's no food. I'll get up, go to school without no food. And at some point, my mom actually had to go to Joburg and try life out, because she started a business that did not instantly do well. So she was going to go and sell out there, and that was the worst time of my lifeline, because now you have no dad, you have no mom, and you're supposed to be studying and making life happen by yourself. My brothers, they are around, but they also are doing different things. They're trying a whole lot of things. So we quite apart in years, so they are not at home really, and I'm stuck with my dad at the time. My mom is in Joburg trying to make life to happen. And then what happens in that time, he was a tough guy, so he will have me to work really hard. So we will be picking up a spot in the garden, and then we'll be planting carrots, potatoes, and so on, because we will use that to at least eat something out of it or sell it. My mom will even do those kind of things, sell spinach, carrots, and so on. But in the process of working, he will just destroy the young man that I was, and the words he will speak. It was, in his mind, I think it was toughening me up to be a man that he is, a strong guy, but he was killing me. I mean, I was working hard, John. I'll come back to school. I'm not supposed to go play with other kids. It's just like I come back from school, he needs me back in the garden. And I think that knock he had in his time affected him so much that he could not see a son in me, and just a teenager, in me as well. So he ends up drinking really heavily. My mom comes back. They're having these, conflicts that are going on now and again when he's drunk. When he's not drunk, he's quiet. He doesn't engage that much. So I haven't seen the right modeling of marriage as well and what it's supposed to be. When he's drunk, he loves me. When he's not drunk, he's just like something else. And it took me time to actually understand him and to have a conversation with him. So he's around, but I really don't know him. He doesn't know me. When we are working together, there's a whole lot of words that are coming out. in terms of how I'm supposed to do what he's expecting me to do, even though we're working together. So he sees me where he's at, and I'm supposed to do this thing with the strength that I don't know where I'm supposed to get it from. So it was tough. Mom comes back, and then because the home is just breaking apart and it doesn't know how I'm doing, I go up there and then I tell her, I go into Joburg to visit her, and I tell her things are not great at home. These are the things that are happening. Obviously I'm getting some beating from him, serious beating, John. Not just, I don't know how you will get disciplined when you were young, probably pranked and so on. I wasn't getting pranked. I'll get a proper beating, like a slap in the face from an old man. And Mom comes back and she keeps on doing what she's doing. But something shifts in me because she had asked me several times to help her in her business, which I don't want to be part of it. You guys are supposed to provide. So there was a lot of entitlement as well, because I'm seeing these kids who have things that I do not have. And I'm thinking, their parents did this for them, so my parents are supposed to do it for me. But I don't actually understand that my parents don't have money, and the best that they're trying is to at least get food for us, and so on. So there were a couple of, times where I woke up without food, went to bed without food. I don't have uniform, and I have to go almost with the same uniform from grade 2 to grade 5. It's just things like that. Shirts, you'll have to, a collar, you'll have to turn it around when it's old and it's got some holes, you turn it around so that you can keep going with those kind of things. Raining, you walking barefoot to school. Those are kind of things, and your name is all there and stuff. But life is happening. So grade 8, he passes on, and that was the most sad day of my life, because not that he passed on. I see that he passed on, but it's like, you owed me an explanation, bud. I loved you, but in loving you, I wanted to understand a bit of what was happening in your life and why you did the things that you did the way you did them. Why did you mess up your family? So I was crying. And I never cried so much in my entire life when I heard that he passed, especially when we were his last day of putting him to rest. It was like I was just crying. Mom keeps on doing this business anyway, and then I buy into this concept of helping her do the business. So what that meant that I would get up in the morning, pick up the fat cooks. She gets up at 4. She puts the fat cooks. I pick up the buckets, going to school. I've got my, we didn't have bags at the time. I'll use a plastic, ShopRite plastic, put my books in there, and then I'm going to school. On the other hand, I'm carrying a bucket. I leave it by the bakery, and then they will say, I'll come back, pick up a bucket, and then get the cash. Somebody will help us without charging us a cost. On weekends, it meant that when she's going to get mealies from where she was sourcing from, I am busy preparing the fire, and then we had the boiki, three-legged boiki pot, big one. And then when she comes, that water is boiling, and then we put in the mealies there, and then I will put it, and then I will take those mealies with a little bit of just a bucket, and I'll go around, umbila, which means mealies. So I'm selling. And then this thing is going now, and then she's got meat as well. On Wednesday, she goes stock up meat, tribe meat, and then we cut it at home, and then I go and then I distribute for her. And then later on, I go collect for her. Some people didn't have money, and so I would have to go collect later. And then fruits, again, when mealies is over, it's done, and then I go with fruits: banana, apple, pear. And people were buying. And I was excited that, man, this product that I'm carrying here is going. And money is coming in. And I was so faithful, John, that I never took a cent from that money. I'll come back and give it all to her. Here's your cash. She had a book where she'll write in, this is the revenue that came in, and this is, how much she spent. And we started being partners. And this is probably age 7-ish, 8. And I did this up to matric. And I had to die down from saying, what are people going to think about Gule? They used to call me Gule. and I was okay. They will give me a lot of names, Mbila guy, a fat cook guy, and so on. But people love me, and people are buying from me. We've got our own customer base, and we know who will need umbila, who will need mealies, who will need fat cooks, and so on. So they're buying, and this thing becomes a business that helps us to have income coming in. From grade 10, I didn't have that problem of being called out because it has turned our life around. But in me, it has given me a little bit of understanding of what the business looks like. So I wanted to become a medical doctor from grade 11, and I started excelling at school because a problematic guy is no longer around. I'm kidding. He was a great guy, really, really a great guy. Probably 10 years later, I get to understand what he was dealing with. And I had not forgiven him. And through God's love, I got to forgive him, and I got to love him when he's normal. But many times when they will really talk about him, I will not talk anything good about him, with my siblings, because of the way how he treated mom, how he treated me, and how he just really caused problems in our family structure.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
It is emotional to actually hear that you've gone through all this. Like I kind of compare experiences at any degree. But so listening to yours is an absolute privilege. Sure. I have a belief that people are generally trying the best they can.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's good enough.
Absolutely.
It's not good enough in some instances and not here.
Yeah.
Alcohol is definitely my least favorite drug. It's the most dangerous drug there is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to have heard that. I think it's difficult. I've had that experience with I actually never shared this with you, Luke, anyone in the team, but my dad was also, he was quite tough on me. Like he used to play provincial rugby, for instance. It's totally different experience here. So it's difficult for me to even put in the same breath as you see it. But I'm going to say it if I just wanted him to say like I was doing well. That's all I wanted. Not tell me how to be better. That was great. But he was doing the best he could. He thought he had to make me better, and he had to tell me what I was doing wrong all the time, and how I could be better. And you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. 100%. And I just wanted him to say, I love you.
100%. And I guess, you see, what people don't understand is that there are no women feelings and men feelings. Feelings are just feelings.
Correct.
And we all have them.
Love it, yeah.
So I don't know, that thinking that I'm making him a man or making him toughen up, it's such a wrong, thinking, because nobody does not want to be affirmed. Yeah.
So just I believe in the yin and yang of everything. The man you are today is also because of some of that. Some of that, and then you've had to an active role in that. But there was that. So we do owe him a debt of gratitude.
Absolutely.
I think your team do welcome at the door. The reason your name resonates when I mention your name, people light up. That is in part, in some small part maybe, but to him. But just to take you back, because you're talking about how you had this experience now, you building a bit of a thriving business. I love the mother figure that you have.
It changed our lives.
And she's the first sort of entrepreneur, I guess, that you have experienced. Sounds like she's doing by the books, and she's
up to
all
today. She still says
amazing, really, today. Okay, so you wanted to become a doctor. That's where you left.
Yeah, so I'll take it up to university. I wanted to become a medical doctor, and grade 11 almost changes around. My thinking, I was more of a problem solver. Nobody told me, I just thought maybe engineering would work. Even though I wanted to help people, I was very much aware. I was quite privileged that I got to have good people around me in my very early years. Guys that we did matric with, they all are successful family men, successful in their career endeavors as well. So I was a top performing student on maths and science. I happened to get A grade on maths and science, and so teachers were driving me to go to medicine. I think back then, at the time where we come from, people are very much big on go either be an engineer or a medical doctor so you can earn more money to change your life around. It's not based on what you're really passionate about, on what you are more aligned or inclined with. So I was doing it out of a status quo, so they'll know that I'm a medical doctor and stuff like that. But I think just through dedication and determination, I was very much honing into, it's a big step for me going into university. I knew that I was going to go into university for two things. Number one, because of my grades, but number two, because of the very same business. The same business got me to registration fee at the university. I wouldn't have gone to university without this business. So it was doing very well. We were getting income every other day. Now, I think one thing that changed for me was just understanding that this decision is about me. It's not about the teachers. It's not about who I'm supposed to be. So I thought let me do an engineering. I didn't get so much input to it, but I just I'm gonna become an industrial engineer. We had few pamphlets. We had few organizations coming around and talking to us about when you are at grade 10, grade 11, you want to know what you want to be. So I remember changing from doing grade 10. I was doing economy, and then I changed to biology because I wanted to, and it just knocked me out, John. Biology knocked me out. I did not understand a thing about ears and eyes. And I was like, my way, don't be a terrible doctor. Let me probably just, become an engineer. So I went to study engineering at the university using the money that mom had made, and then life started me there. That journey, I needed it. I didn't have a place when I went to study in Johannesburg, University of Johannesburg. And for the first 2-3 days, I didn't have a place to stay, and I had a lot of difficulties even breaking through into corporate, starting my career. It's tough work, tough experiences. But because I've had been exposed to increasing the tolerance of pain, I had to find a way to navigate through, that uncertainty. You are from a very, almost rural to semi-rural township. You're going to Joburg to study and you've got no place to stay. Where are you going to stay? So I had to find ways out of all those kind of experiences. And for me, perhaps that's where my journey with my father was a gift to me. And it continues to be, because me and you are entrepreneurs today, and we know that is not an easy journey. And I now and again borrow a lot of grace out of those, experiences I had with my father, because it's a tough journey, and you can't make it if you're not willing to increase the tolerance for pain. You gotta have to have that kind of.
Entrepreneurs are known to have a high tolerance of pain.
Yeah. It's both. Yeah. So my journey takes me there, and then from obviously being a meal guy or fed cook guy to becoming an engineer. I was the very first person at home. Those are some of I told you a little bit of the lows experiences. So some of the high level experiences for me is when I become the first engineer to graduate on record time. It did not go all well because the other thing, you're not sure who's going to pay your next fees, school fees and so on. But I graduated in engineering on record time. My grades, again, excellent grades. And I go on to then, find work at SAB as an engineer. And I started working there, and then it's just so beautiful to have that, because a lot of guys did not make it, that I knew. And then seeing how all of that then turns into the person that I am today, obviously from an engineer, from Sasol, from SAP, working for SAP to Sasol, to Transnet, to starting my own company, not because of me, but because of purpose by that time. And then to the journey which I'm in now, which is very much entrepreneurial and of purpose and passion. And those are kind of spaces that I'm in right now. And the learnings and the people that I've met along the journey, it's just really, it's humbling for me. and where my mom is at now, and how everything has changed at home. It's a journey of resilience and a journey of hope as well, that, you know, you are not always going to be stuck with the same negative situation. Life does evolve and things do change. And today I'm a married man that is completely opposite to what I've experienced. You find that a lot of people, they become the product of their environments and families and so on. And I'm opposite. You know, I love my family. I love I love my wife. I'm big on marriage, and I'm very intentional about how I'm raising that unit and cluster to not become history of where I'm coming from.
So, you got a beautiful baby girl.
Yeah, beautiful baby daughter.
And I guess maybe the what you'll need to you'll be aware of this, I imagine, but the differences and with daddy's girl might maybe be very difficult.
Yeah.
But that I do look towards my dad and what he did for me in terms of being hard on me and look to balance it with my boys.
Yes.
So there's a yin and yang of it. Like too much of anything can be a bad thing.
Yes.
And then moderation needs to be moderated.
No, for sure.
But yeah, it's an incredible story. Yeah.
One thing that I did not mention is definitely an encounter with Jesus. I could talk about everything else. I think for me that was really, really a profound moment for my lifeline that changed everything else, because I would have turned to something else had I not had an encounter with Jesus.
Yeah. So that brings me to one of my questions that I want to ask you. So, Beapo is one of the few companies that I think it's the only company that I've seen this type of execution, and it really is inspirational. I find it interesting. So I just that was going to be one of my questions is around a faith-based business. So if you want to take us through Beapo, like the beginnings, like where you started, and then just for the listeners and watchers out there, so when I say faith-based business, you can go follow on Instagram, follow on LinkedIn, go see the videos. Morning ritual could be a prayer and that sort of stuff. And that's not something that's very common in businesses in general. And then it's not something that people are willing to share externally or necessarily proud of. And it is, so I think it's a beautiful thing.
No,
it's a beautiful thing to see. And it's consistent through the time that I've known you throughout your business. And so I think that the question was, so what does faith have? What does that have? What place does it have in business?
Yeah, for sure. Good question, John. I think before getting into answering your question, they normally say charity begins at home. So for me, it's not something that I haven't seen faith outside. I've seen faith right at home. I've got a mother who is a prayer warrior, who is an intercessor. I've seen her from the time I was born. I've seen her getting up every day at 5, praying and praying and praying. Before going to bed, I've seen her every other day reading her Bible. I got to learn how to pray from my mom. I got to learn how to read the Bible from my mom. I remember this other time, when all of these things were happening, I was like, the only hope I have is really God. And just through seeing her, reading the word consist every day, praying every day, and living out the life affected me so much that I wanted to read the Bible right from the beginning of Genesis to the end of Revelation. And I started very young, reading the word. I was not at the time converted into becoming a follower of Jesus Christ. I was doing it out of her impacting my life. So I've seen this at home. And obviously later on, I believe through her prayers and many other people, for me, then I encountered Jesus in my life. And I go on and commit to this decision that I've made for Jesus. And at school, I was very committed. We had something called Student Christian Organization, right, at high school. We will lead those and be preaching at the assembly meeting as well. And then we were going on to be at the university. I did not stop with my faith journey, still very radical for it. And again, I wanted to be active there, and the only way to be active was to find either a church that I was coming from back at home, or I'm part of a cluster of faith cluster in university. So they also had a Christian fellowship organization, and then I joined that, and then I was leading, and we were part of the leadership team. I think every other Sunday we'll have 3,000 students coming around to worship Jesus together with them. And this happened for 4 years. And I've gone back to actually minister for University of Johannesburg and Vaal University as well. And so it's been part of my journey.
So just clarity on that. So that's volunteer, huh? You leaned into that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want confirmation
and,
that for
and
listeners.
It helped me so much. It helped me so. So when other students were doing a lot of different things, we are busy with helping, students. And we're praying for a lot of students with difficult times. So my life has always been ministry driven. It's just been helping people and so on.
Quick question there.
Yeah.
So in the engineering world, though, so like it's very much like if this then that. So like something's working at home.
Yeah.
Now it starts working. Mom's doing the right thing, and she happens to be praying every morning.
Yes.
Was it ever a thing like, I must do that because it seems to be working, and then it led you that way because it was working?
Yeah, I think children imitate their parents, That's what I'm seeing from my daughter, If I'm wearing a cap, she goes, want to find a cap, and she wears a cap as well. So when I was reading my Bible and praying, is because I'm seeing her doing it, and I'm almost idolizing that in a good way, because she does it, I'm going to do it as well. I did not do it out of conviction. I only got convicted later, and she couldn't do that for me. I could only do that for myself. So back to your question, John, faith starts right at home within my life, and entering the marketplace very much aware that this is a powerful tool that you can use to transform your environment, to transform your work, to transform your colleagues, and to transform your business as well. So I never stopped. I mean, entering into SAP, we started home sales there, where lunchtime we are praying, right up to, Sasol and Transnet leading prayers. And we'll pray for our leaders, we'll pray for economy, we'll pray for work, because you don't see the results now, but it works. And I'm almost a believer that anything that you see physically started in the spiritual realm. So I believe so much in that. So coming back to Beapo, I've seen the power of this. I've seen it transform me. I would not be the person that I am except for prayers that have been poured into my life. And more than that, it's the powerful force and substance that brings about, God ordained visions for your life. So that's where I come from with faith, and I've almost got this faith in the marketplace, and I've got people that I really admire who started this long time ago. I've seen businesses completely transform out of prayer, obeying God, and God turn things around. And there are so many powerful stories in the Bible that shows us the power of faith and used into marketplace, and how then the marketplace booms. I can share a little bit, but I don't want to end up preaching here. But I'm just saying, you can't do business without a spiritual dimension. It's going to dry you out. And to those people that obviously have not seen that, thank God to them. But I'm telling you, every other entrepreneur, they do talk about mindfulness. They do talk about spiritual dimension. But, obviously religion is just so broad and diverse. But for me, I want to say that faith has got a profound significant impact into business in today's time.
So question on that is, how could a business introduce faith into their lives? How do you introduce faith into a business?
Yeah, I think first do it out of your convictions and values, because this is not something that I'm trying to do so that it puts us in a certain ways in the market.
It's totally authentic.
So if you happen to be a founder, because that is not, we didn't start, we were seeing something that we started even 8 years ago. We started praying 8 years ago with people that started with me, and it's never stopped. It's not something that we started just now, and then people are all of a sudden seeing it, and then people started doing this. No, it's our foundations, it's our DNA, it's our origins. So I think what entrepreneurs has or founders has is that they need to find a way how they let organizations permeate with their values into the business, and it is almost forms part of the culture. So for me, I would say it doesn't have to be over spiritualized. If you're a believer out there, and you and some organizations don't even have to be believers; they just have to believe in the power of prayer. So you just open the meeting with prayer, and start a day with prayer. Close out a day with Thanksgiving, close out a week with Thanksgiving. There's a whole lot of things that you can do. But I just want to say, don't make it a ritual. Understand the impact of it, and then if you believe in it, then do it. Because we're not only just doing it for the sake of doing it. We are doing it because we really believe in it. We had one guy who just recently joined us as one of our directors, and then one of the guys in the boardroom, he used the word that starts with an S, and it's because just people are exposed into different languages and companies and so on. And I was so proud because one of the directors says, we are a Christian business. We don't use such words in this organization. And this old man who's 60 and above had to wow, I haven't had something like that. I was driving him back to the airport later on. He was just like, I have never had something like that in the organization. So he was just saying, well done. So I think for me, once you do it with convictions, and then stay with it and be consistent with it, and it will impact not just only people that are within your company, but it will even affect people that are outside. Somebody who's coming outside in can peak in the environment and get healed out of that, and get inspired out of that, and so much more. But more than that, you're also giving hope to people that you don't know what they're dealing with in your company. You are praying for them, and you're praying for them because you really believing that God, which is we call it higher power, can work something out of their lives. So I'll say start with prayer, start with the word, and keep it short. But also more than just starting it should be part of your value system. It should be part of who you are. It should be part of what you really, really admire, and it's like your sacred space. And it's coming in out. It's not outside in. It should come because you do it. I don't pray because I'm in Beapo. I pray at home. I pray before I sleep. I pray when I get up. And it's just part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, I love that answer. And it is a topic we could, Luke, dissect for 3 hours if we wanted to, but we're gonna move on. That just as to ask Luke about this too, because he shared a podcast with me, and we'll have this in the show notes. It's a link, Huberman and Jordan Peterson podcast, and talks about this, both scientific brains, very interesting. And I think Huberman, Dr. Huberman, or Andrew Huberman, said that he was introducing prayer into his life and he'd been working on it. And it was just fascinating. So it is an interesting topic. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. If you took anything from that podcast at all?
I think it was the act and the practice of praise is a form of meditation, and it's a form of centering your existence around something. It's like sitting on a cushion in the morning, and just focusing and aligning yourself with something. Whether it be God, whether it be a mantra, whether it be a symbol of something. It's a form of yeah, it's a form of centering yourself and starting your day focused.
Yeah.
It was actually a very interesting conversation around prayer. It was and interesting to see how he's coming from a very clinical, scientific background to exploring what we call prayer looks like and how it's affected his life.
Yes.
And trying to break it down scientifically. It's very interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, the science is amazing, but it doesn't explain everything.
No.
We're not there yet. Yeah.
If I can share a little bit on that, I got privileged that in my journey, I've happened to pursue MBA at University of Cape Town. And they've introduced a module called Leadership, and Prof. Kat April was my lecturer when I was doing my MBA there, 2015, 2018. And I mean, these are global studies. They found out that prayer, mindfulness, meditation reduces stress significantly. At the time, it was 50%. He happens to also teach at Oxford. And so a lot of organizations have started really being aware of how they can introduce mindfulness, meditation. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it's a form of connecting inside, above, so something that is higher than you, that helps you to be centered and to be grounded. I think it's, I forgot the name of the professor, but he teaches at Harvard. And he says joy is actually spiritual. You know, joy is spiritual. And this, even love itself is spiritual. And so I think if we will understand that most of the things that we really are looking for, because essentially we're not looking for money, we're looking for joy, we're looking for love. If we understood the source of those things, it will change our lives drastically. So a lot of companies are shifting just from doing things for employees, but they understand that studies are now revealing that, you know, meditation, mindfulness, it's what allows environments to, because it's all about energy, you know. So I think, you remember we went to Cairo, and it's like doing a particular activity that allows you to meditate. It shifts your energy all of a sudden. You know, I remember. Do you remember the exercise that they said? Let's just look at each other, say nothing for 5 minutes.
So it's for the listeners out there, it's an exercise Siya is speaking about an EO conference that we were at in Egypt. And the exercise was to link with somebody close up, sit with them and look into their eyes without blinking as much as possible, just for 5 minutes straight, no words spoken.
Yeah.
I was in tears within. Yeah. It's a very interesting exercise. Yeah. Needs the right facilitator. I must recommend that. But it was a beautiful exercise as well. The thing that you've said now, it wants to. So you've clearly got this. You understand enthusiasm and joy as a reflection from God, or a higher source. Yeah. It takes me to this question that is going to be something that we'll be asking guests generally here. But the question is, what piece of advice or word would you give your 16-year-old self? It might be your 7-year-old self and what you've told me. Yeah. But so my example, the joking example is, John, buy more Bitcoin. But the real example is what I would tell myself if I could go back in time and just bump into myself and go, like, I would just say, meditate. Yeah, that's the one word I would tell myself. What would you be able to tell what would you want to tell yourself, your younger self, that 7-year-old?
I think, you know, sometimes we have aspirations, ambitions, and they don't always want to be straight path. And so I think just be patient with your journey, because it's not going to go the way you expect it to happen, but it's going to progress. And how it progresses is not within your control, you know. So letting go of control, and understanding that if it pivots, it's okay, and you're gonna need a lot of forgiveness and love in the journey.
I heard you say grace earlier too, and patience. I love it.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to come in the grace now. Ties me into your case study that you've sent us.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this piece. We're gonna show it now.
Yeah.
For the audience. The link will be in the notes for listeners, and it's a beautiful case study with a Roger Federer fulfilling a pinky promise.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go there now.
Hello. Can you please continue to play for 8-9 years so that I can play my current girl?
Yes, sure.
Is that a promise?
Pinky promise.
Sizu, right? If you could just take a seat here.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Coach?
He knew my name.
Sorry guys, I have a question. I have just informed my boss about your arrival, and she's actually a huge fan. So she asked if it's possible to maybe take a selfie with you.
Me or him?
No, with you, of course.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let her know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk about VIP.
You're okay to get a little selfie, right? You're starting to get a little
This is the
VIP
best day of
treatment.
my life.
Just coming from like different countries.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you.
Can I take a picture with you?
Yes.
Shall I take a picture of
Can
you?
you take a picture?
Wow,
Oh, thanks.
really nice.
Oh, wait a second.
Oh my god.
Like I told
What is
you,
this?
yeah, I'm your biggest
Oh my god.
fan.
This is we need to take a picture of this one, right?
Poor guy. He's like,
Some big smile.
Oh, thank you so much.
What the?
Could you follow me? Come on.
I'm nervous for him.
Follow me. What a surprise, huh? All the young people watching you playing finally against a worthy opponent. Here is your surprise.
Zizou.
Hi. Hi, Mr. Federer.
Nice to see you. Roger. Hey.
Oh,
Nice to see you.
wow.
Welcome to Switzerland.
My God, thank you.
We have a promise, right?
Yes.
We gotta play.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh,
Let's do it.
oh my God, thank you.
Let's do it, Zizou.
Yes, sir.
Have fun, okay? Yeah? All right. Playing nice, Zizou. I like it. Too solid. So good. Playing great, Zizou.
Who won actually?
Oh, I think we're saved by the pasta. Buon appetito.
That was the case study. I loved it. The authenticity that we've spoken about, and too. Also going to tie us into a personal branding that we'll get to and spend a bit of time on. So when we look at these type of campaigns, we have 6 principles that we work with, and we'll share a link to the episode 1 where we go through what those are and all that sort of stuff. We like to dissect this in terms of those 6 principles, and the principles are grouped into what we believe makes a really a great entrepreneur, a great business, a great human being, and those categories are a great IQ, great EQ, which is very important, then AQ, which is the adaptive quotient. Not spoken about that much, but it's quite interesting. It's the ability to change. And that sort of thing. So in this, just off the bat, like that was very emotional. I love the authenticity. People can just watch that and get so excited about this kid getting a promise with his hero, and then going there, and he's so humble throughout. And then Roger Federer, Mr. Federer, corrects him and says, "Call me Roger." And that's who he is, and I think that's why you like this this campaign.
Love it so much.
Because of the authenticity. I mean, we like to claim Roger Federer as part South African too, so there's that. So that's definitely an experiences replace messages principle. Like this is an experience that people can engage with. User generated, because the brand's leveraging something they didn't come up with that promise. That boy came up with the promise. And now they just executing on, and they do the whole surprise, the punk sort of behind the scenes, beautiful thing. I don't know if you've got anything there, Luke, that you'd like to add there. Or
It's just a happy one.
It's just a great one. It's a very happy.
All the heartstrings.
Total heartstrings. And so why for you? So tying into the personal branding, I think it strikes a note, and authenticity.
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's not just about Roger Federer. It's Roger Federer and Zizo. I almost saw this campaign about 5 years ago when I was actually doing my MBA, and it struck with me, and it still is relevant to me today. I think a lot of people have to shift around how they define leadership, John. We've had a lot of different definitions, quotations of leadership. And I mean, I love John C. Maxwell. He talks about leadership is influence. And I've admired him. I've read a lot of his material, and I still do till today. But, as you evolved as a leader, as you get more exposed into knowledge, I would love to say leadership is also exemplary. Leadership is also authenticity. I asked you a question the other day. If I asked you, do you think Roger Federer would have done that without having to put a campaign on it, in his personality, in his character?
My answer was yes, definitely. It fits his personal brand. He would have done that without the brand paying for it.
Absolutely.
They just made it happen. So.
Absolutely. So there are quite a few things that we can take out of this campaign or case study. I think number one is, let's understand that why would they want to see Roger? Why would they want to play with Roger? It's because Roger has modeled something that he admires. I mean, Roger, he hasn't just played tennis by himself. There is your Rafa Nadal. There is your, Djokovic as well. So, and those are all equally great players, champions. I like them. But specifically about Roger, I just think the way how he shows up, and how he gave that boy a promise, and how he shows up for it. I heard something people talk. They said it's not about, the words you say, but it's about actions that you demonstrate to other people. But I also think to it as well, it's also just the component of, legacy is defined by character more than the financial fortunes that we want, success that we want, monuments that you want to leave behind. It's about how Roger got to make that boy feel, before and after. I love what Maya Angelou says. The people will not remember you by what you said and what you did for them, but it's how you made them actually feel. So I think for me, leadership is also just got to do with authenticity. It's got to do with kindness, and it's got to do with following through and being consistent in what you are talking about. So seeing Roger going back, and at this time around, his career is still very much active when this campaign was produced. And yeah, so really he inspires me because a lot of people, they get so busy that they don't go back to the things that they promised to actually deliver. And then also, maybe just last thing is also understanding that reputation is built on actions and not words. It's about his reputation from here on. And I often wonder, what will people say about Siyabonga if I'm not in the room? And for me, seeing how he shows up equally with the word he gave, and that builds such a beautiful reputation. So a better name is definitely better than riches. And so we're wanting to make sure that we are keeping our reputation right. I got to also think about something on that, wrapping up onto it, is that the most significant days of our lives is when we are born, and is when we actually die. And what they talk about when you are gone, you've passed away, it's your reputation. It's how good it was. And they don't talk about bad things. They're trying to check how good it was. They want to focus on those kind of things. So I think for me, if you can understand that reputation is built on actions, not on words, and just how we show up to other people, it will change a whole lot about, how we view leadership and how we view status and how we view, having a whole lot of things that could have kept him not to keep his promise. So
I love that. Love that. I think that Maya Angelou quote has actually been used by a previous guest. You didn't pick that quote. You've got a psalm to read for us. Can we go into what you've picked as your read at the end here, and we can talk briefly about that.
Okay.
Proverbs.
Yeah. So I think it's Proverbs 1:20-24. I'm going to paraphrase it, if that is possible. It's basically just wisdom, looking out for people, and wisdom represents Jesus, and he is calling out aloud. He is making a speech, and he is crying out aloud, and he is not just doing this. He's doing this in different places, but one of the places is actually marketplaces. It's markets. And he's calling out aloud. He's like, hey, come back to me, guys. Come back and then pay attention to me. Listen to me. I'll share my heart with you. I'll make you wiser. I'll pour my thoughts on you. I'll show you things that you haven't seen. So I think we want, one of the reasons for, why is Proverbs 1:22 my anchor, my foundation for life, is because he is the only person who is going to give you not only what you want, but also what he wants for you, beyond what you want for yourself. And so to think I'm going to do it without wisdom, which is the type of who Jesus is, it's definitely going for a doom and gloom.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. So it's been an absolute pleasure and privilege. I don't know if there's anything you want to close for your team as we close out.
Yeah, I think maybe just as a final thought, it's a guy who's called Booker T. Washington. It's two guys. Booker T. Washington, he talks about success not as a measure where you are in life, but rather the obstacles that you've had to overcome in life. So I think if we look back a bit, because it's always next to the next thing. I'm only successful if I do the next thing. But we could also, look backwards and say, how far have you come? And for me, and many other people, I think you could say, I'm in the process of succeeding because you've come far. But also having said that, Steve Jobs, in his last days, is a guy who's accumulated massive of money. and he talks about, being a wild entrepreneur, a very optimistic visionary. He says, prioritize health and prioritize happiness and prioritize relationships. And for me, to hear somebody like Steve Jobs talk about those kind of things really helps me to just keep adjusting and really frame success in the right lens, because it can't just be always about the next thing and be all about our BHAG within our entrepreneurial frameworks. It could be outside of that. It could be just really, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to be more healthier, and I want to be more happy, which is inside work that I need to do. So I think closing out there, it's think of success not as how much money you really accumulate, but how much work you are putting inside of yourself.
It's absolutely beautiful. And Siya Gule, you're an incredible machine. What a beautiful story. Yeah. And you are a success.
Appreciate
and
it.
I believe you'll continue to be a success.
Yeah,
so
thanks so much. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks. The incredible machine, Siya Gule.